Welcome to Art's Place, conservative talk from a different view, from the Casablanca studio in Golden, Colorado. Hosted by Art Carlson. At 4'6", liberals fear him, and conservatives love him. He's definitely a giant among men. Now here's your host, Art Carlson.
Yeah, welcome to another episode of Art's Place, a conservative talk from a different view. I am a giant among men. Yes, we've got a great show today. Since we celebrated Independence Day last Sunday, I took the day off. I figured, well, everybody's going to be out celebrating with their family. So I decided this week we're going to talk about that important document that started this whole thing, this whole experiment, if you will. And we'll talk about that and some other hot topics during the week. So let's get this show on the road and let's bring up one of my co-hosts all the way from Muskogee, Oklahoma, because they're okay. Let's welcome the diminutive Lloyd Mendenhall.
Paybacks, right? Yeah, I deserve that. Anyways, how you doing, Art?
I'm doing pretty good. Had a pretty good 4th of July. Didn't catch any fish, but had a good time.
Yeah, well, as long as you enjoyed yourself, you know, to me, fishing has never been about catching fish. It's been about relaxation, peacefulness. I mean, yeah, who doesn't like to catch a good fish and stuff? But it's to me, it's always been about getting out there and just, you know, like
enjoying.
We go out on the boat every so often
with nature.
Yeah, I can just. I got Rangers. I've been having to comb him out because he's still got his winter coat in, and oh my God, it's like he's probably lost 20 pounds in the last 2 days. Like, oh my God. But anyways, yeah. But yeah, I don't care if I catch fish, especially if I'm on a boat. I just kick back, throw my feet up, just, you know, sit out there and float. You know.
All right, well, let's bring up my other co-host, the triumvirate of this great program. Let's welcome all the way from Syracuse, New York, the alma mater of our beloved President Biden. He's an Orangeman, wouldn't you believe? Let's welcome the robust giant among men. Let's welcome Mike Roach. Welcome, Mike.
Hey, guys.
Notice he said robust, not
robust,
rotund.
huh?
Yeah.
I don't think that's been used very often for me, but I'll take it. You know? And,
at least you're not diminutive.
Right.
He's paying me back for last week.
Okay.
Or a week before, whenever it was on my show.
Yeah. No, yeah, unfortunately, Biden is a Syracuse alum, and that's where his famous plagiarism happened, I think, in law school. And so, you know, and of course, the university makes a big deal. Oh, you know, this, that, and the other. Every university does, whether the person's a scoundrel or not.
Did he graduate at the top of his class?
Yeah, according to him, he did. I don't think he remembers.
I think he was the top 10% of the lowest 5%.
Right.
Yeah, top 10% of the lowest 5%.
But a lawyer can parse that anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. He came in 75 out of 83.
Yeah.
I didn't miss it by much, did I? Top 10%, right. The lower 5%. Yeah.
And also, he claimed he got 3 degrees.
I think that was
one.
probably Yeah, it's probably burns from running around naked in the hallways or something. 3rd-degree burns.
Right.
Those are the only 3 degrees he probably got.
Wonder how many girls' hair he sniffed in college, but who knows?
Oh,
Anyway.
You got nice smelling hair.
Oh, that's right. He whispers now too.
Yeah,
right. Whispering. That was creepy.
Which is really kind of insulting. Because, well, you think about it. There's a guy, great country songwriter, whispering Bill Anderson. Biden just ruined whispering altogether. I bet Bill Anderson, I'm not even sure if he's alive anymore, but if he was, he'd probably drop the whispering after that.
Yeah, but that was condescending is the word, Lloyd. That when he did that, it was like, what? Obviously, he's clueless as to how he looked to us, but it's like that was very condescending, not only to the media in the room, but just to the American public. It was creepy, and also condescending, like like you talk to a child, like, I'm hungry, you'll get over it, that kind of childish talk. So just a really stupid thing.
I've never seen anybody as clueless as that guy is. I mean, he truly, and I watch a lot of YouTube. I do not watch the regular news networks. I'll catch.
Me neither.
I catch the highlights off of certain shows off of Fox. There's still a few guys off of Fox News that I like to follow, and for the most part, they're just getting as bad as the rest of them. And I watch stuff off of Newsmax. I also watch the Australia Network, and I really like their take because the Australia Network is Sky News Australia. They're very conservative,
right?
And the things they say about our president, and to say, just how embarrassing he is,
Yeah.
and you can see it in the reaction of the other countries. A couple weeks ago, Art, you were having problems on my show with your connection.
Right.
That was a Google / YouTube / Amazon problem during that period. I actually, StreamYards here, who you use and that I use, they actually contacted me and saw that I had been on, and they were explaining that there was an outage caused, believe it or not, by the Amazon server, which hosts a lot of these. Amazon's got this huge database, which obviously we know about them from Trump and from Parler and all of that stuff.
Right.
But they had a big problem. YouTube was having problems, and we saw it on
several
Ken Herron show. Well, Ken Herron show on Thursday. Everything was going out fine because I talked to Greg about it afterwards. It was a YouTube thing, and I saw it. I've seen it everywhere. These foreign governments, they're just running all over our they're just running all over us because Biden's not going to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Oh, and what does Biden do when he visited Putin? He said he gave him a list. Don't you dare hack these institutions.
Yeah,
I'm going, what an idiot.
Yeah, you don't give them the list of the things you don't want them to hack because guess what? They're going to hack them.
Right.
Either they're going to hack them or they're going to go after other infrastructure that still is important to a lot of people, like YouTube and Amazon and Google.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bet Putin was shaking in his boots about that.
Oh, yeah, I could see the fear in his... I could hear the quiver in his voice when he speaks about, jeez.
Yeah.
What's funny is...
I'm sorry, but Art. I like what Lloyd said about Sky News Australia. I do watch a lot of them too. I don't get them live or anything, but I watch a lot of their clips. And one thing I like about them compared to all American media is they're pretty long form things. They just don't do a short 2 minutes or minute and a half on a story. They'll spend a good 10, 15 minutes on
Oh,
one
yeah.
topic, and that's much more thorough than our media. And also,
Yeah,
Right.
they don't
are
just use sound bites.
right. So I like that about them a lot.
And they'll ask the tough question,
Yes.
I mean, they'll actually do some reporting
Right.
rather than
Yeah.
being a mouthpiece of one party against the other, like here.
Right.
Yeah.
And, of course, we've several of us know Australians and friends with them. I've been friends with the Aussies for 22, going on 23 years now. I've been talking with these guys. And there's one of our friends, well, he just doesn't like anything. He doesn't like anything to do with politics or government. But he's British. So, there you go. He's a British transplant, and his wife was a school teacher. So, they got the same problems over there, and so he just likes to argue about everything. But the other, of course, you guys know him, Grant, Mr. Stay Drunk, that you see on my show a lot, or you see come into these shows, and or Mel's. Yeah, we've been mates for, like I said, 20 going on 23 years.
Right.
And their look, they just shake their head. They just, all of them, the ones I know, they're just like, Now, you got John, which is on Greg's show, Oz by Drone. Now, he's a bit of a bleeding heart, but,
Well, he's a musician. A
that's
lot
true.
of those guys are.
No, he's not. He's a drummer.
He's just the drummer.
He's just a drummer. Actually, he is a very good musician, and of course his brother is world famous. And actually, Grant didn't realize I found out about John being, because I just know John is John because I talk with him and give him crap all the time. We just go back and forth. You hear it, on the show, and we've been doing it since I've been doing that with Greg. And I didn't know he was anybody famous. He was just John. I didn't, he plays a little music. I knew he played some gigs. It's like, well, so did I. I belonged to a band called the Bifocal Band because we all wore bifocals. We're a bunch of old farts that played bluegrass and folk music, but didn't mean I was anybody famous. But John actually is a very famous Australian musician and toured the world. And then he decided to become a pilot. But he is a musician. I give him crap about being a drummer, but he's one of those Australians that's liberal.
Matt North is a musician as well.
I've picked up on that.
Who is? Who'd you say, Art?
Matt North.
Oh, Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's quite a pianist.
He's a piano player.
Pianer, yeah.
Yeah, he's a piano player. Yeah, I don't know. Pianist just sounds like it's like something Biden does in his depends every day. he pianisted.
Yeah, he pianisted.
Well, I hope you guys had a nice 4th of July weekend.
Yes, I did.
Weekend. It was nice, and
I
took a little drive myself up to the foothills of the Adirondacks. Just a couple-hour drive, and just a solo trip. Just went up there. Place was packed, and lots of people leaving, but also a lot of all summer people camp up there and kayak, canoe. There's just lake after lake after lake, and hiking, you name it. So
Finger Lakes region.
But where?
Finger Lakes.
Well, the Finger Lakes is to the west of me, but the Adirondack Park is to the northeast of me. It's a huge area of New York State, and the Adirondack mountain chain goes through there. and it's so it's actually the Finger Lakes over here and the Adirondacks are up here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Syracuse.
that's where they came up with that the most uncomfortable campground chair ever created.
Oh yeah.
I know.
Why the hell do people like those things? They just splinters in your arse and everything else.
Oh, and it digs in the back of your knee.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like,
And it's tilted. Like,
and
what
they
the
still
hell
sell
am
those
I?
things.
Am I an
Like they're-
astronaut? What the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They look nice sitting there alone.
Oh yeah.
Very picturesque
And-
on a dock or
Yeah.
something. That's
Instead of
about it.
having it 45 degrees, let's kind of have a nice, gentle tilt to it.
Yeah. It's
It's kind of like sitting on the couch at your grandma's house.
Right.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course
Yeah.
Lake Placid is way up there, where they had the Olympics in
Olympics,
80
yeah.
and
Yeah.
36 or 32, I think it was. I forget which
So,
which year. But yeah, so nice drive up there just to, I spent a lot of time as a kid up there, so it's like going home and everything looks the same. It's one of those areas where the same building that you remember as a kid is still there.
Yeah.
cool. Well, we'll be talking about the Olympics a little later in the show. Since we've been touching on 4th of July, we're going to talk about Declaration of Independence. And we'll talk about what was in it. Why did we do this? I mean, so on this site called the National Archive, it was, among other, a list of grievances. And there was a list of 27 complaints against King George III of Great Britain. So let's talk about that. So we were fighting against taxation without representation. That's the
Right.
big one. Then there were other smaller things, like there were certain things we couldn't make here. If we had to buy things from Europe and said, hey, well, hell, we got all this raw material, we can make them here. Like rifles and pistols.
Right.
Those, we couldn't make those here. It's against the law.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of oppression, and of course the reason they came to develop the colonies was get away from that, religious freedoms. You had the Quakers, you had the Puritans.
Puritans,
Which-
yep.
I find the Puritans to have been an odd group of people because they were very oppressive themselves. There was a very oppressive religion.
Right.
And
and
but
don't forget the Mennonites, the Hittites, and the Cellulites.
Cellulite.
It's funny how many Mennonites and also the Amish are still around, even in New York State, much less Pennsylvania.
Oh, we've got them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Indiana
we've got-
and Michigan too.
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
That's
got
how
a
you
whole-
get an Amish woman pregnant. 2 Mennonite.
Why you're hot
wrong
today?
show, Art.
I mean,
But we have a big Mennonite community here, and of course, I didn't know it, but the church that I grew up in was actually a Mennonite-based church. They didn't grow the beards. It wasn't like the Amish. Or we had one. He was like an assistant pastor show up just before we moved to Grand Junction, and his wife was called, and she was an Amish. And I'm like, what's that? So, well, we use electricity and stuff, but we still follow the same beliefs. And that's why we've joined this church. I didn't realize, because it was just up the block, right at the head of the street. So Mom had been Lutheran, and she says, "Well, let's go to this little church and try it out." And we tried it out, and just it became good. It's just a good old family. I thought non-denominational. Wasn't until I grew up and started looking into it, found out it was a spinoff of the Mennonites.
Mhm.
So, and didn't even know anything about them really until I moved here to Oklahoma, and we've got, they kind of play on things because we have the Mennonite society or Mennonite community up there, but yet we have all sorts of Amish bakeries and stuff like that. So I think they're the same group. They just like, whatever name they think's going to sell good.
Mhm.
Right. They're very
Yeah.
much into commerce. That's
But yes, they are.
yeah. And nothing wrong with that.
Hey, Jebediah, what shall we make today? I don't know. This town is called a manna. Let's make some, I don't know, refrigerator.
Yeah. Well, some of the best auctioneers in the world are Mennonites.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some of the top auctioneers in the United States, especially with cattle auctions and stuff. And that's where a lot of people go for their cattle, is to the Mennonite auctions because they're just really good. And of course, me used to be an auctioneer. I enjoy listening to it, and so I kind of follow the auction circuit with certain people. So, never knew what I wanted to be when I grew up, and still don't.
Well, speaking of auctions, I mean, that's kind of another reason why we wanted to break away from England is trade. Because, hey, those people wanted to make money just like those folks in England, but they were restricted on what they could make, what they could sell. I mean, you couldn't. I think there was even a prohibition on selling certain grains or food stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's and then of course everything was basically taxed the hell out of people,
Mhm.
and then having British soldiers basically enforcing that those rules on people. So, and the signers of the Declaration, were well-to-do people, all of them, leaders in their towns and their colonies, and but they put it all on the line. As soon as they signed that document, they put their head in the noose, and
Yep,
Oh
you're
yeah,
a lot
right.
of them
It
lost
was.
their lives.
yeah.
Mhm.
They were definitely declared. They were convicted abstentia of treason. You know,
Mhm.
uh,
That's why it's called Treason Day in England.
in England. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw
Happy
that.
Treason Day.
I don't know how many memes I got sent to me over
Uh,
that. It's like,
yeah, I saw
you
that.
know, yeah. But
Yeah,
it was treason. You know,
yeah.
and because they were all subjects, British subjects, and they put it on the line. I just watched. Oh, what was it? It was about the shot that was heard around the world, Lexington.
Right.
I just watched something about that just the other probably last weekend. There's all that stuff was on. Uh, you know,
Yeah.
they interrupted Pride Month for one day to put all this
Right.
other stuff up, and then went back to it right afterwards.
Yeah,
You know,
I was gonna mention that. Boy, I tell you, the the rainbow was everywhere, and
oh my God, yeah,
unfortunately, the rainbow got co-opted by Pride Month. And but it's for a whole month we're having that shoved upon us. Even the Smithsonian channel had it on the bug on the screen, and
yeah,
there was no red, white, and blue bug on the screen. The Smithsonian symbol that stays on the shows.
right,
And
yeah,
you know, and now of course it's back to Black History again now on Smithsonian, and which I
Yeah.
have certainly no problem with. But it's like all month it's going to be this now, and it's like, what about American Pride Month for once?
Mhm.
Just American. But
Yeah.
we got a day.
Oh, and speaking of pride, I just found out one of my friends, he's a midget, and we found out he's gay. That means he's coming out of the cupboard.
Only you can get by with those jokes, Art.
Right.
Sorry.
Right. He's like Don Rickles. He can tell Jewish jokes all day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
What you want, Mike? A cookie?
Give me something out of the cupboard up there, will you?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, that's funny. Well,
So,
speaking of the pride stuff, and let's get back to I want to talk about
let's
something
get back
about
to
that.
what we were talking about, Independence Day.
Right.
And maybe we could talk a little bit about the Constitution and what's in it, and why did we have to write down a list of rights? And it goes all the way back to the Federalist Papers, because Madison, he didn't want the Bill of Rights written down. Because, in his mind, he thought, well, the rights, they come from God. But Jefferson and Adams, they thought, no, we got to write these down. So these are things government can't take away. That's why they're called negative rights, or,
Right.
negative, to keep government from trampling on those rights.
Right. The government shall not, basically.
Right.
And they all,
Yeah.
all or most of
Well,
them start with.
The thing with Madison is, his point was, these are God-given rights. All of our guidance is in the Bible. We don't need to write another book or another list of things. But you got to remember, you got Jefferson and Adams and several of the other, Franklin. They were deists. They believed something was out there. And
They believed in a higher being, but they didn't know if it was God, if it was, Abraham. Or
they kind of looked at it as what I've heard, and believe it or not, I actually studied this in English history, American history, and English literature, American lit. They believed in what they called the watchmaker God, in which he built the watch, but it's up to everybody else to keep the damn thing wound.
and boy, those Democrats are wound up, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think a few of their gears are kind of stripped.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Their wine spring is done, been overwound. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's why you have Jefferson and Adams and wanting to write it down, because they weren't going to use the Bible as their sole purpose.
Right.
Of they obviously believed in God because of what they wrote in the Constitution and in the Declaration. But they didn't believe that that was the other thing. They didn't want, because, and I've said this for years, if we fought a religious war, and that's why we have such a problem going against Islam, because if here in the United States we fought a religious war against them, our biggest problem is it Presbyterian, Lutheran, Catholic, Methodist,
Right.
Baptist,
Pentecostal?
Which one of those religious wars are we fighting? Because we have that freedom of religion, but we also that limits us sometimes in the way we do things, the way we think. But this is why they put this stuff down, so that no matter what your religious beliefs, you had a belief in your government and what it could do and what it couldn't do. And it was written right here, you know. And
Yeah. Yeah, thank God they had the foresight to add in the Bill of Rights, because
yes,
the specifically enumerate those, because they would never get written today. I mean, not a chance.
no.
By either party.
Mhm.
And and it doesn't say the Bill of Rights doesn't necessarily not limited to these rights. In other words, we're writing down 10 amendments, but that doesn't mean that's those are the only ones we're listing out.
Right.
Obviously,
And as time went along, we added more.
more amendments.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the Constitution, that they put in there a provision to amend the Constitution.
Yes.
Right.
The most used way is going through Congress, and where they have to get certain amount of states to join in, and their
Right.
state representatives to agree on the Constitution. The other way is called Convention of States, Article 5, I believe. And that's another way you could amend the Constitution. But I think it was, I'm not sure if it has been done, but it is another way of amending the.
Yeah, I don't know if the Convention of States has actually been enacted. I know there's a lot of people have signed on for the Convention of States over,
Well, what limits the Convention of States is it has to be one item at a time.
Yes.
It can't be like a whole bunch of different things and thrown together. It has to be. All right, so you want to do this. Oh, you want term limits on people in Congress and the Senate. All right, well, that's a good idea. Let's we can only do that one at a time. It's kind of like a conveyor belt. One product at a time could be done.
And the problem is you can't get any of these states to decide which one of these, when, we've tried several times to bring into a convention of states over the last, now probably 12 years, 15 years. And they can't decide what article they want to discuss. Which amendment, what do we want to amend first? What do we need to do first? And by the time they get through scratching their backsides, well, the time has passed that would be necessary. So,
yeah, like a balanced budget amendment or term limit.
Yeah. It's,
I mean,
unfortunately, right now, the state our country is in, going back to the whole declaration and stuff, is like, I mean, it to me, and I'm sure to you guys, it means more this year than in previous years, because we're, the whole idea of America itself is under attack from within so much that looking at that, the concept of it is like, we're in jeopardy from within right now more than any outside nation. And although our own infighting is giving outside nations also room to work a lot and get away with a lot.
Yeah.
China and Russia and the Iranians and whoever else wants to pull something. And just makes it mean that much more to me, like how fortunate we are to be in this situation. Whoops. Are we all here?
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're still here. You were doing really good. We was just letting you talk for a change, not interrupt you.
It was like a colon or something. It's okay. Yeah. It's like before the and.
It was the Chinese.
That's what you call the uncomfortable silent pause.
Right.
Yeah.
And Now we
Go
have
ahead, guys.
athletes that want to be in the Olympics, but they're disrespecting our flag. You know, you got half the soccer team, women's soccer team, kneeling. You got a hammer thrower who gets all pissed off because they're playing the national anthem while the winners are on the podium. It's, it's like, did you miss that memorandum? You know, that part where, you know, when you go get your medals, they play the national anthem of the winners.
Yeah, and it's not just the U.S. national anthem that gets played. It's from whatever the country's winners are, you know. And it's like, and if it's real simple, if you are there representing the United States and you're embarrassed or you're ashamed of your country, don't go there to represent us, because you're insinuating that everybody is embarrassed or ashamed of our country. And that's, I think there needs to be, we need to, you know, hey, professional athletes can do whatever they want. If the company they work for, whether it's a baseball team or a football team or you know, it doesn't matter. If they're going to allow them to do that, more power to them. It's just whatever. But when you're an amateur and you're being sponsored by and paid for by taxes and contributors and sponsors of the United States Olympics, then you owe that to your country to represent it in its fullest. And if you're not going to, go away. Get the hell out.
Right.
You know?
You're not there representing yourself. You're representing the USA.
That's right. That's exactly it. And you're insinuating that our country, that everyone in our country feels that way. And here's the thing. 75% of the country doesn't feel the way these people on TV and these athletes that are acting out. Most of them don't feel that way. You know?
Yep, that's true. And it all comes down to education. I believe this upcoming election, it's going to be, at least on our side, it's going to be about crime and education. Those are going to be the two big topics, because crime rates are soaring all over the country. And then we've got an education system that's teaching our kids to hate their own country. And then you wonder why. That's why these dumb athletes that are trying out for the Olympics are acting like, well, I don't want to stand for the national anthem because that represents oppression. Come on.
You know, I've talked about when I was in school, back in the old one-room schoolhouse where, you know, had to walk to school in the snow, uphill both ways, barefoot.
You went to school with the Ingalls, didn't you?
Yeah. Anyways, we had a gal, she was a Jehovah's Witness, and she wouldn't say the Pledge of Allegiance. It was against her religion. And I thought this was an insult. My father had and my uncles had all served in World War II for the right to, you know, for our freedoms. And I just thought there was such an insult. I had a brother who was serving in Vietnam, and at the time, or was fixing to go to Vietnam. And he was there in the early years. And it just really upset me. And so the teacher sat down and explained why. So one of the things we were allowed to do is during lunch breaks, you know, or recess if we chose to, she allowed the two of us to sit in class, and her and I, me and the Jehovah's Witness and myself, we had a philosophical argument over religion. And she presented her side, I presented mine, as I and I was studying the Bible clear back, at a young age. I started studying. I grew up reading the Bible, and my dad was one of those that
Wasn't it
challenged
still on
me.
stone tablets?
Yeah, well, no, we'd finally got papyrus. Gutenberg hadn't invented his press yet, so I was still having to read it in the ancient Hebrew and Greek.
I
But
loved him
that's
in
okay.
Police Academy.
But anyways, we were allowed to have these discussions in school. It was religion,
Yeah.
because her. But I ended up respecting her more after that. But she was doing it because of her
No, I'm going to
religious.
sign off a second, guys, and pop back on. I'm
All
screwed
right.
up here, Maya.
Okay. But she was
Right.
doing it for religious purposes. And she understood the Constitution and her rights, that she didn't have to say the pledge. And this was, we're talking grade school, late grade school, early. Now it would probably be early middle school. But still, I learned a lot from that interchange. But we were allowed to do that. Our teacher gave us the constitutional reasons why she could do this to me, because she knew I was gonna argue until those stone tablets were broke. But but this crap that they're doing now of standing because they're displeased with the country, or they think that national anthem is oppressive.
Yeah.
Do they even know the story behind the national anthem?
Probably not. They were probably taught the wrong things, and and this brings up another point. I'm always hearing this word, or a couple words: systemic racism. What system is racist? Now, there was Mike is back. We could talk about. We're talking about. Everybody is always talking about systemic racism. And there was just recently there was a talk show host who really got one of the people that on the other side, asked him, well, where is it? Is it a group? I mean, where is this system? What system is it that's racist? And that person couldn't tell him. It just hemmed and hawed. Well, it's systemic. Well, what system? Well, I don't know, but it's everywhere. What?
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah, it does. If you remember Goebbels, keep repeating a lie over and over until people believe it's the truth. I think that's what's happening here. People keep saying that there's rampant systemic racism. And it's like, okay, then how did we get a black president? How come we have a black vice president right now? How come we have black people in Congress and in the Senate? Here in Denver, we have a black mayor. Where is that systemic racism?
Yeah. We elected our first black mayor in Muskogee ever. And actually, he's doing a pretty good job. I don't have any complaints. We're finally getting some of our streets repaired, getting stuff done that none of the good old boys had done in forever, And, but I'll agree that there is systemic racism.
Against whom?
The whites.
Yep.
The racists are everybody that thinks fat old white guys or any white male is the problem.
I'm sorry,
it
guys,
doesn't matter.
I'm breaking up real bad on my end.
Uh-oh. Just when it was getting good.
I know. Well, I'm
break
live
it up.
now,
We'll break it up.
I'll try and stick with it, but Hopefully I won't
Okay.
freeze up.
Well,
My
you
fault.
All right.
look good. You're sounding good. So,
You're sounding good from our side.
Okay.
Mike B wants to know when the toffee giveaway is. Not on this channel. Maybe in the future we might do a toffee giveaway. That might bring more people in. Who knows?
It probably would.
That's right.
Hmm.
Yeah, that
But
toffee's good.
our own
Yes.
press and now our government and is starting to, in 1960s, we had the racial riots, the racial unrest. That was to get rid of segregation. It's for desegregation. We are going back. Everything that Martin Luther King believed in is being thrown under the bus.
Yep.
And what it comes down to is the a group of blacks are allowing, again, a group of white Democrats to speak for them.
Hmm.
It's a bunch of it's a bunch of pot smoking airheads, white folks that are speaking for the whole black society in the United States. They're saying this is there. And when you think about it, it's the Democrats. They're doing it because they feel guilty because they started the Klan.
Hmm.
They're trying to assuage their guilt. And once African Americans, black Americans, or those of African ancestry, whatever they are this week, I don't know what the catchphrase. Anyways, once they were given the rights after the, once the Equal
Civil
Rights
Rights
Amendment
Act.
was assigned to them, and they could no longer keep them oppressed through the Klan or through scare tactics. They had to come up with a new way to keep them oppressed. Now they're telling them the people that helped, the people that aren't the racist, are the racist, and they're keeping you oppressed. And we're going to keep you, we're going to keep you slaves anyways because we're going to give you welfare. Have all the babies you want. The more babies you have in poor circumstances, the more we'll pay you not to do anything. In other words, Democrats are saying this now just simply to assuage their guilt and to keep the blacks oppressed like they did since the 1850s, 1840s.
Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. But with the help of certain, plenty of white representatives, but the Maxine Waters of the world and people like that who just, the more black people stay in a troubled state, the more difficulty is in black communities, the better they do.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
It's really sick.
Mhm.
yeah. They're Maxine Waters and people like her. They're they're what they're like the black overseers from the
Mhm.
slave days. The one head slave that kind of worked with the plantation overseer. That's their job, to keep the rest of the blacks in line. And again, this goes all the way back to the Democrats, back into before the Civil War. And they just the news is part of that. Just like, we had the yellow journalism in the press from that was like pictures of Frederick Douglass made him look like a monkey, stuff like that. Those were Democrat run presses, in the South. And it's just like they're doing the same thing. It's just that we've allowed it. And as I said, these whites that are, from Joe Biden on down to Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, They're just a bunch of former clanspeople, former slave owners. It's in their DNA, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
That's a systemic racism.
Schumer is a
right
snake. I tell you, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't take that guy
But that's-
at all. And the fact
That's
that he's
where
from
I
New York
agree that
State,
there's. Yeah,
makes
you're
me
right.
sick.
He is.
Yep.
But
Well, and the reason he's saying what he's saying is he's really worried that AOC could take his seat, primary him, and if sad to say, if she does win the primary, hopefully she is defeated by a Republican. Maybe that. Oh God. Oh, she's the gal from New York that replaced Liz Cheney on the.
Oh yeah, the girl from Staten Island.
Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, I forget her name.
Yeah.
And we had a pretty good representative up this way, Claudia Tenney, who she was one of the last elections that was decided in the last election.
Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is, all down, the Hudson River, that's all blue. You go west of the state, it's pretty red, except around the cities like Syracuse and Utica and Buffalo, because,
it's much more.
that was
mixed,
a lot of manufacturing
once
there.
you get past Albany, it's much more mixed than if you get up in the North Country. It's like it's gun country up there, in the Adirondacks and up along the St. Lawrence River and stuff, and that's Trump country for sure. But
what the hell is wrong with Vermont? They've got two idiots up there. You got Leahy, and then you got who's the communist up there? Bernie Sanders. I mean, that guy started by being a mayor, and then he was a representative, and now he's a senator. What is going on with Vermont? I mean, that used to be kind of conservative.
I think they've been
Yes, it's all
snorting too
the-
much maple. They've been
Well,
snorting
yeah.
too much maple sugar
Yeah, it
or
could
maple
be.
syrup.
Eh,
Sugar
it
went
could
right
be
to the
all
brain.
New Yorkers that are moving up there from New York
Right.
City,
Vermont's always been weird.
Yep.
I mean,
New Hampshire.
look
I
at-
mean,
yeah.
Now New Hampshire. I'm trying to think which. New Hampshire's on New York border, right?
Let's see. We do go into Massachusetts and is it, I think Vermont. From trying to picture the map, actually, I don't get
Yeah.
over that way much.
Well, at one time, one of those states
And of
was
course,
part
New
of
Jersey.
Maine, and one was part of New York. And then it was around when.
And I'm sorry, guys, my signal's breaking up. I'm
Okay.
gonna watch from the other side.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All
Good
right.
to see you.
Good seeing you,
Hey,
Mike.
guys.
Take care, Mike.
Hang on a second. Idiot dogs. All right. I don't know what their problem is, but yeah, it's too bad because I always enjoy when Mike's on here. But
Yeah.
my
well,
idea of
could be that
there is
Russian
systemic rate. Yeah, he's always got. He knows his stuff.
Yes,
far
he
better
does.
than I do.
Mhm.
Mine is all opinion. Well, I try to base my opinion on facts, but that's why I say there's systemic racism in the United States. It's just not what they're trying to portray. It's not what they're saying
Portray?
it is. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Inch, you're slipping again.
Yeah.
Anyways.
All right. Well, at least we know Monday is speech day on Lloyd's show.
Yeah, we're going to do
That's where
speech
he'll
therapy.
learn how to speak with Chito.
Yeah,
slip
Well, I
out
can
of
do it
his
pretty
mouth.
good. Yeah, well, I can do it. You know, I'm not too bad.
Well, that's not too bad. You know, you can
I'm
do it
getting there.
like Jeff. Or you
You
can
know.
be like,
Well,
who was
first
famous?
off, you don't grit your
Walter.
teeth. You just relax your mouth and then you can say whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, what the hell
And
do
I
you
still move
know?
my lips. That's the purpose of the dummy. Not
Mhm.
this dummy, but the one that's usually on my hand. Is they're the distraction. It's like a magic show. It's
Mhm. It's
it's
true.
it's the
A
illusion.
good
It's
ventriloquist has you believing that that dummy is actually talking. That's
yeah,
how.
and that's it. And because there's no throwing the voice. You can't throw your voice. It's just a modulation of how you do it. You've got to learn to enunciate. You've got to learn to look. I I look at there's certain ventriloquists that I like watching, not because Edgar Bergen, that guy
Yes.
moved his lips more than Joe Biden does, and but his stuff with Charlie and Mortimer Snerd was good content, and
Hmm.
he interacted with them. You know,
Right.
he didn't believe they were alive when they went home. He put them up they went into
Hmm.
their case, and yeah, I got a couple characters I'm going to introduce on my show tomorrow, and
Cool.
I just got one in today, and
That's
but it's something I've been playing with since I was a kid, and I just started really, but which is bad because I've got a natural stutter, and I'm trying to talk without moving my lips, and it's not just that, you know, you grit your teeth, you got to look natural when you do it, and you're going to get a little lip movement. You got to learn to say the right
You
words,
can't help.
you know,
Yeah.
because the and W are hard letters to say. M is a
A C D F G H I J K L N O P Q R S T
yeah,
U V W X Y and Z.
you're pretty good at it. Of course, you've been around ventriloquists.
Yep.
You've seen them work. You've probably, but
Oh, I've worked
yeah.
with some comedians. I wish they were ventriloquists.
Well, I
They'd
think
be funny.
I'd like to know, because whoever he is, I mean, whoever the ventriloquist for Biden is
Oh
man, they're
yeah.
good. You know, they're really good. I think they forget their lines because they've got a script, and he keeps, whoever's
Oh, he's got
manipulating him.
notes now. Did you see that?
Yeah. Oh my
Oh,
God, yeah. Even then, he stumbled over it with the
yep.
notes. You know, the
Well,
it's
when I
sad.
did stand up, I always had kind of a list that if I kind of got a little lost, I could kind of, okay, that's what's coming up next. So sometimes you'll have
Yeah,
a show where, okay, this audience is not into that, so I've got to kind of uh, backpedal and figure out, okay, I got to go this way and this kind of humor that they might like. Mhm.
yeah, and you learn to do blocks or chunks of,
Yeah,
that's how you do it, and then
and that helps memorize too.
it
That,
helps to memorize. Yeah, in the memorizing the routine. And the other thing is like you said, you got to read the audience. And the thing about ventriloquism is, yeah, I don't know if Chris is saying you're bad stand up or if he's referring to, uh, I think he's referring to Biden, because
yeah.
Biden is this terrible stand up comedian. But you learn to do it in chunks. And the thing about ventriloquism, you basically is called talk to the room, in which, should you forget what you're talking about, you've talked to your puppet enough that your puppet can, like, oh, and start talking about something until it comes back. as long as you can converse with your puppet enough to fill in the blanks, until you're like, oh yeah, that's the next joke.
There you go.
I'm not that good yet, but I'm getting there. And I've got, I think, 4 main characters I'm working with now.
Oh, good.
I got basically, 4 that I'm working with. I got a new one coming in tomorrow. That one I've got to have a certain voice for to do it, because he's a well-known character that has a certain voice pattern. And
don't give it all away.
I'm not, but
No,
I just got one in
sizzle,
today.
not the steak.
Do what?
Sell the sizzle,
Not the steak. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, I'll have one of the characters I sort of introduced on Greg's show a little bit. He popped his head up and for just a second on Greg's show on Friday. But like I said, I just got one today, and I'm real pleased with that one. And the one tomorrow coming in, I'm hoping I'm going to be pleased with it. So,
well, I wanted to thank you for missing a night, last week, where I got to fill in for you on Greg's show. It was a lot of fun.
Yes, you did. I meant to thank you for doing that, because we talked afterwards, and he says, "What'd you think of Art?" And I said, "Well, I think he did pretty good." He says, "I've got a pattern that I know what Greg's missing, or something that's coming up, or something that he needs to be notified, and I can do that. This was your first time, and you did fantastic." I remember when I first started on his, just like, because he's so scripted.
Yes, he is.
And I'm not, obviously.
Well, and plus with him, I get poked fun at his English. Because there are words that he says, what? What did you say?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like solder.
Solder.
Yeah.
What's a solder?
Yeah.
Is that the guy with the gun that marches?
Right, exactly. That's what I always think when they say solder. And it's like,
what's the name of that magazine? Solder of Fortune?
Solder of Fortune, yeah.
I don't know how we gotta talk about solder on a political channel. So, thank you, Lloyd, for getting us totally off topic.
Well, let's get back to topic. There's one thing I want to cover.
That's the thing that makes this show unique. We get into the meaty stuff up front, and then towards the end of the show, we just kind of...
It goes off the rails.
Yeah.
But getting back to the political thing.
Okay.
Did you see the new video out by the San Francisco gay men's choir?
No, I didn't.
Oh my God. They sang a song that says, "We're coming after your children."
Oh, yes, I heard something about that.
Guess what? At least 3 of the guys on that whole panel, because it's a montage of all these people, and they've been in little box frames, and they all sing their little part. 3 of the guys are on the sex offenders registry.
Ooh.
I heard a guy yesterday on his video says, "Okay, there comes a he says, I don't care if you want to be gay, that's fine. If you want guys to dress up and slap each other's rear end and do whatever it is, that's fine. I'm not going to stand and cheer you in the parade, wave a flag for you in your little parades, because I don't believe in it. But that's me. But you have that right to believe that way, but don't expect me. But if you're going to try to promote your point of view, couple points. 1, don't have a bunch of gay men saying, "We're coming after your children." The main part of it is we're going to, the main phrase is, "We're going to convert your children." That's repeated over and over. But then they say, yes, we're coming after your children. Yes, the gay agenda will not go away. It will quietly, in education, in a school, convert your children. We're coming after your children. And that's a repeated phrase throughout the song. Don't say you're coming after our children. Not a good idea. Bad representation. Yeah. Some of what they're trying to say is about tolerance. But their wording is terrible. They've caught a lot of backlash. And then the next thing, when you get a group of people together that are going to represent you and going to get up there and sing and say this kind of stuff, you might want to say, hey, any of you guys in this convicted sex offenders? You might want to raise your hand. Oh, yeah. I don't think we can use you in this video today, guys. It's all about presence. It's about presentation. And those are not good representations of what you should be doing.
Yep.
And
also this another thing that popped in my mind while we were talking on this, which relates to this. Did you know that illegals who have been arrested for sex offenses don't have to be on a registry of sex offenders?
No, I did not know that.
Yep. So that shows you how screwed up things are. No, Chris, we didn't see Kamala's daughter. Okay. Oh, I have to check that.
What did Kamala's daughter do?
I don't know.
I'm going to have to look that one. I missed that.
Yeah.
I was without power about 7-8 hours last night. So I once the batteries ran down.
It's called sleep.
Yeah, well, this was before I went to sleep. I should have been asleep, but I wasn't. But yeah. But I had to bring up that thing about that gay. I actually listened to it. I went and listened to the whole thing because I'd been hearing about it it came out a week ago, probably Independence Day weekend. And that's another thing, going back to that. Thank you for filling in for me, because I took the main reason I took the weekend off is because it was mine and Judy's 40th wedding anniversary. And we had a great time. Friday, oh my God, had some good steak.
Oh, good.
Yes. Cost me a small fortune, but take everybody out. There was 9 of us, 8 or 9, I can't remember now. There at the dinner, but just look under Salty Cracker on YouTube. I'm going to have to look that up.
Okay, well.
But again, I want to thank you, because we had a really good anniversary. It was actually on the 6th, but we started on Friday and kind of celebrated over the weekend. Judy and I did a lot of things, and that's where I got her. I got her a really nice new diamond ring. She got me a puppet. But, actually she got me a couple, 2 or 3 of them, but they're nice ones, so I'm happy. She wanted the diamond ring, and
so you're going to be like Kelly Green with dolls?
Oh, no. These are wooden Americans.
Oh, okay. So you got a Woody.
Yeah, Woody's a whole other story. Actually, I don't have a wooden puppet. These are foam Americans.
Oh.
Yeah. That was my storm warning telling me that lightning was starting in the area.
Oh.
Probably lose my friggin' electric again.
Well, Lloyd, we did over an hour. It looks like an hour and 15 minutes. So,
yeah.
I want to thank you, as always, for being part of the show. Mike Roach, thank you very much. Wish you could have been able to stick with us the whole show, but thank you anyway for coming in. Had a good show today. We talked a lot
was good.
about Declaration of Independence and a little bit about maybe next week we'll cover the Constitution. So thank you everybody in the chat. Thanks for coming, and we will see you next week. Take care.
Later, everyone.